Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome into the channel. My name is Brent. Today we're going to be covering the daily news update here on the 21st of January 2026. Then we're going to go ahead and go into the real official week 2 of our update and budget and spending. This is a goal I set for myself that I want to track my spending, my budget going into 2026. As we're living out of a brokerage account, it is important that we keep our budget consistent and under. That way, we're able to not only get our dividends to cover our monthly expenses, but also be able to reinvest any sort of excess dividends that we have, buying back more shares, and overall having a greater return in the market. So with that said, if you guys are brand new here to the channel, I would really appreciate if you go down below, smash that subscribe, smash that thumbs up, check out the pinned comment. I do have a link to join the completely free Discord server, as well as some other goodies down below as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and go into the current news out there in the market. So right now, news-wise, the tariff threat is negotiable. It went from imminent February 1st. There was a deadline. Now, President Trump came out Wednesday and it's being negotiated. The biggest reason the market bounced on Wednesday was the removal of the February 1st deadline. That was something that was dragging the market down. But during the Davos conference, President Trump announced a framework for the Arctic deal with NATO. He also explicitly stated that the 10% tariffs scheduled for February 1st are off the table. And there was another announcement that the forced selling, there was another little thing in there as well where he would not take military action against Greenland. And from that point on, we saw the S&P 500 put on a 0.5% within like 3 minutes. It was insane to watch this movement here. I was fiddling with my buy orders. I moved $1,000 into my individual account. I was getting my buy order ready, right? We kept bouncing through here. We were showing signs of support in this $380 range, and I was about to make a purchase. Well, there I was fiddling with my buy order. How many shares? What shares should I buy? And within 3 minutes, here we go. Here's the ticker. Here's the first minute, gapped up 0.35. Second minute, another 0.5%. It went up now 0.5% within 2 minutes. And then within 5 minutes, it was up 0.7%. No, that's a 4-minute time frame right there. 4 minutes, the market moved up 0.7%, and then continued to put on an additional 1.16% over the course of that 20-minute time frame before selling a bit off into the end of day. As investors are taking profits, removing capital from the market, as we still have some stuff up ahead. So yeah, I was fiddling with my buy order. These are all posts that I posted over into Discord server, so I always like to kind of post in there occasionally every week. If you guys have any comments or questions, drop them either in the comment section down below. Let me know, what are you guys buying? Are you selling? Are you staying consistent? Let me know. But I was making some buy orders and completely missed the mark there, so I'm waiting. So Thursday, Friday, the chances of a retest at 680 are kind of mid right now. I think it's less likely to happen versus more likely, right? So it's 51% chance that it's unlikely to happen, and then 49% chance I'd say it is. So the chances of a retest here, the tariff war is on pause. So February 1st, push that slash out of the market. A lot of ease off the investors' minds. So that whole gravity of pulling the market down below 680 is kind of off the table at the moment. Thursday morning, tomorrow, PCE inflation report comes out. This is the biggest hurdle going into the end of the week. If the core PCE data comes in higher than 2.8, the market will immediately price in a higher for longer interest rates, right? That 10-year yield skyrocketed here recently. The Fed may not be cutting rates, so this would likely trigger a sell-off that could easily see that 680, 676 retest by noon. I don't think that's likely to happen. Right now, after hours, as volume is low, we're going to get that slow drift. After hours, we're going to see that slow drift. Market open on Thursday. It's either going to be high, and then that report's going to come out and keep those highs, or the report's going to come out and anything that had taken place after hours and in the mid morning, that's going to be a sell off. And then I believe we'll probably retest 680 before finding any sort of ground. Now, there is still some uncertainty out there with President Trump mentioning that they're discussing regarding the Golden Dome. This will be a missile defense system for Greenland. That's ongoing. So if there's any sort of news out there of this not happening, then there's going to be some breaking down, and the market could potentially retest these recent lows of around like what 678. I think were some lows down here, right? 678.16 were some of the lows out there in the market. So unfortunately, I was going to be, I deposited $1,000. It was ready, waiting to go, and I missed the mark. So I'm hoping that on Thursday I'll be able to, at least get in at 680. Otherwise, we might see the market continuing up into 688, 690 if we can break above that. And now it's resistance. So we'll see how it all handles. Now, next part, going into our weekly budget update. So we are actually pretty good in terms of our week 2. So week 0, I'm going back and renaming my prior week. So this is the official week 2 of January, this past week. Right now, as we're flowing through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, this is week 3 right now. We'll cover that in our next week's video. But we spent only $549.16 this past week, which is really, really good. Utilities, these are always going to be hitting. These are our fixed expenses. I think I paid for power and something else this week. I forgot what the other one was, but $149.54 isn't too bad. Pet care, it's been 2 weeks here. We can see pet care. We took place pet food 2 weeks ago, and that was about $60, and it lasts us every 2 weeks. So we always buy him the exact same chicken food. Otherwise, he hates his life and he doesn't eat his food. Cats, right? Cats. So we did spend $55.90 on groceries. Groceries this week were not too bad. Last week we spent $230 versus this week we spent $191. I know as we're going into the 3rd week of January, I know supplies are kind of running thinner. We're going to be making a Costco trip, going and getting our the turkey meat that's been lasting us right for the last few weeks, or the cheese, or the toilet paper, paper rolls, right? These things tend to run out towards the end of the month. So our week 3, week 4 expectancy of budgeting for these items will be slightly higher. So I'm thinking that we're going to have a little bit more spending going into our 3rd week, 4th week. I know I have to go out grocery shopping this week right now for a few miscellaneous items today. So I'll be jetting out the door and doing that here after the video. But clothing, it is winter time. We sold some items on Facebook Marketplace that my daughter no longer needed. Snowsuit. So we went out into the snow the past week. The suit was way too small for her. It barely kind of fit her to kind of completely wrap around. So my wife found some clothing, a new bib that completely fit her with a jacket, and it was only $40. So we bought that. There was some really good items she was able to nab up. They look brand new. $40, really good stuff right there. And then fuel, we haven't had to refill on fuel for a while. Most of our stuff has been local. Our mountain with the snow is about 30 minutes away. My son and I went out and did a 3-mile bike ride yesterday. I biffed it. I fell down going down a hill. It was very wet. So when I was going around a curve, it was too sharp and bike collapsed. Luckily, I was okay. I walked away with just a few scratches on my legs and my arms. So no other damage there. But you always got to be careful, especially when you're out biking in the mud. But yeah, all of our local trips have been very local, which is really nice where I'm at. A lot of the outdoorsy activities are very much within just 15-30 minute drives from us, and we're able to get access to the forest, lakes, the snow, all sorts of dozens of trails, and it's just a lot of fun. And then we had our car insurance rolled in this past week as well, so that's $74.32, and that's car insurance for 2 cars. I have my 2013 car, my wife has her 2023 car, so that's 2 cars for $74.32, which is very reasonable. I can't, I go through Geico and I couldn't find very many others. I still have to go and get new rates on my rental properties because I noticed that all my new loans for this year, they got bumped up a bit, and I'm using USAA for 2 of my properties. not my own personal home, but two of my properties and USAA, I can get the same coverage going through either Policy Genius or Geico, and that can reduce my mortgages on those properties probably a good substantial amount, by at least $100 or so plus throughout the year. I'm not sure how much it'll be on the monthly basis, but those are some calls that I do have to make. So I'm looking forward to doing that here in the upcoming weeks and getting that schedule out, going through different screenings of platforms. I've also been reaching out to different banks in order to do a HELOC on my personal home. Now, I've lost my job back in February 14th of 2025. So getting a HELOC with using my real estate business and also my dividend income, they can use my real estate business because it's been stable. It's from 2018, 2019. Forgot the time frame there, but then my dividend income as of February, it will hit 1 year. Now, usually depending on the loan individual that you go through, sometimes they need 1 year of dividend income to count towards your debt to income ratio. Sometimes they need 2. So this is something that I'm still going to be working through, but it is doable if you're able to show that you have consistent dividend income. It's stable, it's reliable, along with your other stuff. They can actually use it to apply for loans. So if I'm making an average of $4,000 a month and it's been consistent either around that level or higher for the past 12 months, then it can actually be used for that purpose. So that's kind of an interesting little mention of the week, I suppose. And then heading over into our total budget here, we can see that overall we are at $1,839.42. I don't have any income yet. I did receive some dividends from TDAC. I did receive about $1,200 in dividends from TDAC yesterday. I went ex-dividend. It hit my account today. So I have some extra dividends to use to pay down expenses going into the end of January 2026. But we'll cover that in another video. So I do think that we're actually going to be higher than our investment income is currently planned in as, because we have the TDAC, we have T-SPY, but we can actually go into the dividend portfolio here. Yeah, we're expected here around $4,300 of January dividend income. So we're going to be paid out from the NEOS Russell 2000, the NEOS Gold High Income. TAP Alpha Innovation has already paid out. That was paid out today. T-SPY won't go ex-dividend until the beginning of February. So they have different ex-dividend dates. BTCI is going to be going ex-dividend here shortly. And then eventually I'm going to diversify a bit further between T-SPY, TDAC, break off maybe a percentage of that into SPY-I and QQI. That way I feel like both of those ETFs are very strong. Just something to consider. But overall, I think that we're staying well in line within our budget going into January, halfway through. There's only a few items in here that I know will be heavy hitters, the mortgage, but that's not a big dealio. I know we have the internet still that hasn't came through. The mobile phone plan hasn't came through yet, which those are going to be about $300. My internet that I'm moving to, they ran a new line, a conduit to my home, but they haven't scheduled somebody out here to get the fiber ran through now and get the services going so I can kick this internet off our spending and get the new one in there in place. So I have to give them another call this week to see how they're, where they're at. Dining out, I know my wife and I's anniversary is coming up next week on Thursday. So while the kiddos are in school, we'll probably do a going out for at least lunch, right? The kiddos are going to be in school until X amount of time. So that gives us a little bit of time to go out and enjoy yourselves. So we'll go ahead and schedule something, make some reservations somewhere if we need to. But we plan on going out and dining out next week on Thursday for our anniversary. And then we already paid for our anniversary travel back in November. We already kind of pre-planned and prepaid. I didn't have an expense or budget back in November 2025, but that my month was really high at that time just because I did buy a a place for us to go out and travel to at that time. So I think that's it in terms of our budget. We're doing really good this month so far. In total, as I said, we're at $1,839.42. I'm not sure where that extra cent is at. I'm gonna have to go back through there, but I think we're well within our budget here going into the remainder of January 2026. If you guys have any comments, questions, or have any suggestions on recording or updating or tracking budget spending or taking a look today at the market, let me know down in the comment section below. What do you guys think the market's going to do going into Thursday 2026 here on the 22nd? Do you think the market will move even higher back above that 690 price point, or do you think until we have some resolution between the US and Greenland that the market's going to be teeter-tottering in this zone? I think that's going to be the thing. I think we'll probably hit 688 and then bounce off as we did right here. We'll probably come up intraday on Thursday, hit that wall, and then bounce off and then do some sort of retesting either at the 685s or down in the 680. But that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you all for tuning in. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely go down below, smash that subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and drop me a comment letting me know what are you guys doing right now in the market. Did you buy? Did you sell? Are you staying consistent in dollar cost averaging? I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.